Right, I told you very clearly that they would try and make you turn out to be terrorists. So we have a false flag shooting. Yes, a false flag shooting. I did some background research here. Now, this Desi guy was on Current Affair in 2018, being touted as a upstanding member of the community for doing work for the community. Interesting that, right? And then I found out that he was helping a lady who was attacked by Vicpol. Now, it could be found out that these Vicpol officers didn't want to go to jail for their actions against this lady, so decided to attack the person that was helping her. So could this be self-defense? Or could this be just a total fabricated story like Port Arthur? Yes, I said Port Arthur, because there's no way in hell Martin Bryant was capable of doing what was done, and the videos are online in the WASP files. So if you want to go and look at a whole bunch of stuff in that cafe, the entire CCTV or video from the police has been uploaded to the WASP files, demonstrating very clearly that this Israeli occupier of your lands is willing to murder anybody on your lands to keep its narrative. Isn't that right, Vicpol? Who do you serve after you jabbed everyone? Who do you serve when your premier got away with running over someone with a push bike? I mean, it's very obvious that Daniel Andrews is a thug and should have gone to jail immediately, like he would have done to anybody else, but because he's part of that military branch of those Zionists, they tried to get him out of it. Now today, I got a bunch of videos, but my warning was very clear in the Uncommon video that this government would try and paint you as terrorists. Now, you're not associated with the kingdom if you act that way. Act that way, right? How can you be associated with God if you keep doing this mimicking and copying of what I've done?
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
What do you mean?
Check it out. Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man, look retarded, act retarded, not retarded. Count two picks, cheated cards. Autistic, show, not retarded. You got Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Slow, yes, retarded maybe, braces on his legs, but he charmed the pants off next to him and won a ping pong competition. That ain't retarded. Peter Sellers being there. Infantile, yes, retarded, no. You went full retard, man. Never go full retard. You don't buy that? Ask Sean Penn, 2001, I am saying. Remember? Went full retard. Went home empty-handed.
It becomes very, very pertinent, and one could blame that fat idiot in the courtroom and the retard that taught him how to do all of that stuff. They're the responsible parties for all of this, because they keep pushing pseudo-American legal garbage around. And if we've caught the police on social media pushing the pseudo-American legal garbage around, would they be the ones responsible for seeding Desi with pseudo-American legal garbage in a bid to go and chase him down and shoot at him, only to be shot at? So my question here is, what is self-defense? Are you allowed to defend yourselves against a foreign occupying power according to the United Nations? Of course you are. Of course you are. It's going to become very apparent that your country is run by Israel. It's going to become very apparent that your politicians are in cahoots with a foreign power. It's going to become very, very apparent. It's going to become very apparent that Pauline Hanson supports this murder. It's going to become very apparent that One Nation is the Israeli party. It's going to become very apparent that liberals support Zionism. It's going to become very apparent that you've been controlled by this since 1967, and it's the very reason Pine Gap is in the middle of your country. It's going to become very apparent that you're slaves. It's going to become very apparent that the financial problems you all face is because they manipulate your money supply with their reserve bank. That would be the Zionists and the Israelis. It's going to become very apparent that these Israelis murdered your ancestors, and it's going to become very apparent that these police serve that Zionism and do the bidding of that war machine to keep the narrative going in a Christian country. Zionism does not belong in Australia. Zionism destroyed Aborigine sovereignty. Zionism put you all into debt. Zionism controls you, and it's becoming very apparent. It's kind of starkly apparent that they put together a propaganda hit piece on the ABC, and then a week later, this happens. It's the exact same modus operandi of the Queensland shooting. Push the propaganda on the ABC, blaming all the sovereign citizens. Send the police in to murder someone. Blame it on the sovereign citizens. Try and get your United Kingdom of Australia tainted as a terrorist organisation, when I warned you very, very clearly that that's what they would try and do. Your United Kingdom of Australia is in the lineage of your ANZAC. It's what got occupied by Zionists in 1967. Occupied by Zionists in 1967. And I'm going to point this out very, very clearly. Zionism isn't Jewish. They aren't Jews. They are Zionists. They don't obey by the Torah. And you can see by this video, they like to gaslight the shit out of you, and your country is too weak and stupid to realise they are being gaslit by a foreign power to maintain a narrative to keep control of your land. Keep control of your land.
Oh my fucking Christ, I've had to pull over. I cannot abide this flatulent, corpse-like looking man trotting out his evil, malicious, manipulative, gaslighting, child-catchery fucking propaganda.
Frankly, we also have to do something about the algorithms and the social networks. This is a big challenge.
Netanyahu, oh, that name, a symbol of evil. You are murdering and genociding and killing and starving and destroying, and you blame the algorithm? I have never come across a more passive-aggressive example of narcissism than this specimen of so-called fucking human. You're a demon, Netanyahu, and now you're blaming the algorithm. Now it's all the algorithm's fault. It's not the fact that you're one of the most repulsive men on the planet, one of the most demonstrably evil, malicious, conniving, stunningly and spectacularly sinister in your constant justification and your ability and your attempt to put your hands on the table and pretend that others are savages. You're a barbarian. The algorithm has never more accurately picked up on evil. The algorithm knows what you are. Even your own army says that 83% of all casualties are civilians. At what point do you take any responsibility for you?
Now, I'm pretty sure we did chapter 37 last time, and we're up to chapter 38. Now I'm going to just jump around again. We've got quite a few videos to have a look at this time, so we'll read chapter 38, and I'll interject with some videos, and we'll just make this video up as we go. Chapter 38. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, came unto him and said unto him, thus saith the Lord, all caps, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Jesus died for our sins, right? Jesus died for our sins, right? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Render unto Caesar the citizenship that you all hold and believe is your key to the country, when it is actually the key to the United Nations war machine that lends you money, the money lender in the temple. Then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto the Lord and said, remember now, O Lord, all caps, I beseech thee, now I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord, all caps, to Isaiah, saying, go and say to Hezekiah, thus saith the Lord, all caps, the God, capital G, lowercase, of David thy father. I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. The son of your ANZAC, the Lord, this establishing stone of remembrance in the king's domain. Now all of those trying to mimic and copy this, like Matthew and Sue, are responsible for what's going on with the Vic Pol propaganda right now. Because they keep dividing you from your kingdom, pretending to be something they aren't. And in that, they are creating this situation where the police can manipulate half of you and blame you for things you're not even involved in. I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of the Assyria, and I will defend this city. And I will deliver thee and this city out of the hands of Zionism, and I will defend the city. I'm just running out of batteries, going to go and get a battery pack.
बढ़ा दो ऊपर से डालेंगे ऐसे कैसे डालेंगे तुम डालो उधर डालिए ना इसको बना के कैसे करना कापूस में डाल दिया फिर उसके बाद क्या करोगे बोल्ट चढ़ाएंगे सर लिस्ट लेंगे सर लिस्ट लो करो अब कौन मरा ऐसे मरेगा नहीं सुन सकते लैंग का तो डाला किस लिए सर लैंग का मतलब फायर करने के लिए सर चोट नहीं लगे मतलब फायर करने के लिए चोट में चोट नहीं मतलब ऐसा फायर जिससे चोट ना लगे
So we can see now, this story is just starting to come together, isn't it? You're starting to realise how your ANZAC forged a realm, what a defender of the faith is, where your Zion is, or your crowning city is, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hands of the Zionists that deny your gods and treat you like the Goy, the Goyim, the Gentiles, the debtors, the slaves, those in real world human bondage. bondage upheld by those police officers, right, in their debt collecting or human trafficking. And this shall be a sign unto thee from the Lord, all caps, and the Lord, all caps, will do this thing that he hath spoken. Why, he's got this stone of remembrance in a king's domain, in lineage to a sovereign who doesn't want citizenship.
This is my application to become an Australian citizen. No way, get fucked, fuck off. Thank you.
Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. Sundial. So this stone of remembrance with its double cross through it might have something to do with a sundial. Now, if you go into most botanical gardens, do you find sundials? Would that have something to do with putting down a peace symbol on the ground? The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, when he had been sick and was recovered of his sickness. I said in the cutting off of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. Deprived. I will go to the gates of the grave. I will go to the shrine of remembrance. I will go to the shrine in each capital city. I will go to the pillar in my town where the names of the dead are linked to the Lord, all caps. I said, I shall not see the Lord, all caps, even the Lord, all caps, even in italics, in pairs, evenly, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more with the inhabitants of the world. I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more with the inhabitants of the world. The dead legal fiction, the moneylender's name, the account with the Zionists. Mine age is departed and is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off like a weaver my life. He will cut me off with pinning sickness, pining sickness. From day even, italics, to night wilt thou make an end of me. Now some of you will pick up on some clues here. Like a crane or a swallow, so did I chatter. I did mourn as a dove. A peace dove? I did mourn because my country just keeps using the Reserve Bank notes and then complains at the moneylender for screwing their lives.
Hold on a second, honey.
And I'm Doctor,
in here.
not Honey.
I'm sorry?
And I'm Dr. McCaffrey and not Honey. Appreciate it.
You were Dr. McCaffrey?
I am indeed.
Would you rather I call you counselor, doctor, or anything else?
How about Dr. McCaffrey, Your Honor? It creates a tone of respect.
Where I'm from, you sort of got to earn that.
Guess what? Where I'm from, you're born with it.
Get out of my courtroom! Get
Pleasure.
out!
A pleasure.
Out!
Mine eyes fail with looking upward, O Lord, all caps. I am oppressed. Undertake for me. So in the Lord, undertake for me, O Lord. Right? Define this foundation very specifically on my behalf so I can speak up against Zionism. What shall I say? He hath both spoken unto me and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, capital L, lowercase, yes, my Lord, yes, your grace. By these things men live, and in all these things is the life of my spirit, the spirit of the ANZAC, occupied by Zionism. Zionism. O Lord, by these things men live. By the foundations in the king's domain linked to their forefathers do you live. By the dead legal fiction or moneylender's account do you die. And Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead, as you start to remove yourself from this money lender and start obeying your constitution at section 115. Behold, for peace I had great bitterness. Now peace, war and peace. There are 22 types of war, and peace means an absence of war according to the laws of armed conflict. Peace is the paying of your debts so you don't end up in war while those Zionists come to war you out and take it back. So if you're not willing to pay it off, they will murder you, like they're doing in Victoria right now, to ensure they can brainwash you into subordination of the state. For peace I had great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. For thou hast cast all my sins behind thy back. Yet moneylender behind me. I see God. I see the Lord of hosts. I see those spirit of the ANZAC. I see a foundation that made me live. I see what is a dead legal fiction or account with a moneylender tied to the United Nations. For the grave cannot praise thee. It can chase you down and frame you for all of this propaganda and use their propaganda against you to try and maintain its Zionist narrative while all your politicians serve foreign interests going against section 44.2. They don't serve the Lord of hosts. They don't serve the lineage in the spirit of your ANZAC. They serve Zionism, which is by far an act of treason, but also a breach of the Constitution at section 44.2, showing their adherence to a foreign power in your land.
In regard to Hamas, you said that Palestinians were reasserting their authority on the 7th of October.
I'm not sure why you're mentioning Hamas. My speech didn't mention Hamas.
Well, you talked about Palestinians there reasserting their humanity on the 7th of October.
Oh, that's interesting. So you just conflated all Palestinians with Hamas?
No, I didn't do that. What I'm saying...
That's the logic of the genocide, isn't it?
Let's have a reasonable conversation, please. The fact is that you said the Palestinians on the 7th of October reasserted their humanity. How do you believe they did that?
It's obviously the case that the fascist apartheid state of Israel herded more than 2 million people into a concentration camp because it views them as a racial threat. And the reason it views them as a racial threat is because they're not Jewish. And so when people find themselves in that situation, it's obviously incompatible with their dignity. No one should be expected to live in those conditions. No one should be told that they're animals. And when you treat people like that, they will always find ways to reassert their humanity and their dignity.
So do you believe that reasserting their humanity was done by running a bulldozer through a fence, flying in on microlights, slaughtering, raping, torturing and kidnapping hundreds of people? Not just Israelis, of course, but Thai people, American people, Nepalese people, French people. You believe that's resistance rather than terrorism. Is that correct?
It seems to me that you've chosen to frame this interview in Zionist terms. Is that right?
What I've asked you a reasonable question, and I'm wondering whether you think that's resistance or whether you think that's terrorism or perhaps something else.
Do you think that what you're doing is atrocity propaganda?
I'm the interviewer. I'm asking you the question, and perhaps you would answer the question.
I'm here to suggest that your interview is premised upon extremely racist, anti-Palestinian bigotry, and that you're running cover.
Why do you think that? I mean, is it not the case? Do you believe that it is not the case that a bulldozer went through a fence, that people were raped, tortured and kidnapped of various nationalities, including Israeli people, but also Nepalese, American, French and others by Hamas?
The British government is participating in this genocide.
You haven't spoken about Hamas at all, Frank, and you've talked about the British and the Israelis. Well, I'd love to, because you're not answering my questions.
I'm here to suggest that you are running atrocity propaganda for a genocide in which your own government is actively participating, and you're doing that because you've chosen to premise this interview on the most disturbing anti-Palestinian racism.
Why is it anti-Palestinian racism to talk about what the terrorist group Hamas did on the 7th of October? Why is that anti-Palestinian racism?
We're 22 months into a genocide that's being enacted by fascists, and you seem to have sided yourself with the fascists. Can you confirm for your viewers that you are in fact anti-fascist and that you oppose the fascists in the apartheid state of Israel as they are engaged in the mass murder of Palestinians?
Barristers haven't.
Well, I'm here to suggest that Palestinians have a right to use armed force to resist the apartheid state that is committing a genocide against them. That's clear as a matter of international law, but it's not just law. We have to think about how you actually stop a genocide. Think about the most, perhaps...
So are you then saying that what happened on the 7th of October is justified?
Well, you interrupted me again. What I was saying was that the way that you stop a genocide is with military force. And so I'm here to suggest that everyone should be loudly proclaiming their support for the Palestinian right to use armed force to attack the army that's committing a genocide against them. It's also the case that Palestinians should be supported whenever they choose to pursue whatever strategy they want to liberate themselves from the occupation.
I don't think you're answering my questions, Frank. And as a barrister, you will know that in court you ask a witness a question and then they answer it. I just don't think you're answering them. Maybe I'll try another.
I'm not your witness.
I didn't say you were. I'm simply saying that you'll be familiar with the concept of an interview. Usually, I ask a question. Usually, you will give me an answer. I think it's a reasonable. Sorry, go ahead.
Your questions are extremely racist against Palestinians.
How? You haven't told me how.
You're running cover for a genocide of Palestinians that's happening as you and I are speaking, and that specifically is targeting your colleagues in the journalism profession. Hundreds of your colleagues in Palestine are being murdered because they are. 237 journalists last time I counted. Your colleague Anas al-Sharif was murdered by the fascist apartheid state of Israel. You have nothing to say about it.
That is another matter. What I would, and I'm the one doing the interview. I'm the one doing the interview. I've broadcast about that previously, and my opinions on that are on the record. In regard to resistance versus terrorism, would you argue, or would you say that what happened with the jihadists on the 7th on 7/7 on 2005 was resistance or terrorism?
The term terrorism may have some use as a matter of politics. As a matter of law, it should be abolished. The Terrorism Act 2000 is in a legitimacy crisis because it keeps being used by the administrators of the British Empire as they commit this genocide to try and attack and suppress speech that criticises them as they do that, right? Let's be clear that your government, the British government...
So I've given you the opportunity to say that the jihadists who committed 7/7 are terrorists. You've said that you've not taken that opportunity. Let me try another one. The Manchester bomber who murdered people, including children, would you call him a terrorist?
You're a disgrace to your profession and your extremely
Why? I'm asking perfectly reasonable questions which you haven't answered.
No, you're not. You're running atrocity propaganda 22 months into a genocide.
Well, why have you decided to do this interview then, Frank?
I was hoping that you might have some integrity and admit that you made a terrible mistake by embracing the fascist ideology of Zionism and agreeing to apologise to the people of Palestine for embracing...
So speaking of integrity, you're someone
who... You just don't let me finish. You call yourself a journalist, you don't let me talk. It's ridiculous.
You call yourself a barrister.
The ideology of Zionism is an inherently racist ideology, and it's a fascist one, and that the time has come for everyone to have the courage to do what Zara Sultana MP did and admit that anyone who embraced Zionism made a terrible mistake, that they were endorsing the logic of the mass murder of Palestinians because they're viewed as a racial threat to the demographic purity of Israel's apartheid state, and that we have to admit that the time has come for us to turn our back as the human family on that fascist ideology, to side unequivocally with the Palestinians as they liberate themselves from that apartheid state.
So you're saying that we should side ourselves unequivocally with the Palestinians. Does that say that we should... does that mean, in your view, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Frank, but does that mean, in your view, that we should side ourselves unequivocally with Hamas?
There is a distinction in international law between what's called jus ad bellum and jus in bello, right? The reason for the war and the conduct of the war. I think that what's absolutely clear is that Palestinians have a right to engage in armed struggle against an apartheid state while it tries to destroy them. I'm obviously not here to start falling into the traps you're trying to set regarding the Terrorism Act 2000.
They're not traps, they're perfectly ordinary questions.
Yeah, it's just that one side of this debate has to be very careful about what it says because it might commit a criminal offence, while the other one gets to go on a platform and spout genocide, denial and atrocity propaganda for months and faces no consequences, right? That's the imbalance that the British state that's participating in this genocide has deliberately created. And I'm inviting you to have some courage to challenge the British state instead of engaging in this continued anti-Palestinian racism. It's a genocide, mate. Like, seriously, like, how have you allowed yourself to become so numb to that? Have you lost all humanity? Like, seriously?
I would argue Frank, well, you're asking me a question, I want to put it back to you. I would argue that to be a humanitarian, what you would do right now is say that what Hamas did on the 7th of October was a lack of humanity, was a horrible, evil act that should not have happened. I would also challenge you to say that any anti-Semitism that happens in this country, including some that you have been accused of by others, should be completely condemned.
You want to be very careful. It's not been shown that I've done anything anti-Semitic.
I haven't said that either. I've said that you've been accused of it.
It's as I've said. You are currently choosing to side with the British government while it commits a genocide. I'm inviting you to do something far more courageous, to admit that you made a mistake by embracing the fascist ideology of Zionism, to apologise to the people of Palestine, and to come out like Zara Sultana did as an anti-Zionist. It's beyond urgent. It's 22 months into a genocide, and you are still talking about October when it started, October 2023.
Do you not think we should talk about it? Do you think we should not talk about the 7th of October?
I think that the 7th of October is being used as atrocity propaganda, and I think that you are personally responsible for spending 22 months propagating atrocity propaganda. You are justifying a genocide, and you will be remembered as such.
I think you'll be remembered too, Frank. I think you'll be remembered very, very clearly.
For the grave cannot praise thee. This government can't praise you. You're the dead legal fiction. You're the slave in bondage. You're the occupied they don't give a shit about, calling you Goy or Goyim. Now, I told you about my story in St Kilda and that man at the Woolworths with his car. He called everybody Goy while we were in the Woolworths. And the manager came up and tried to stop this man from abusing everyone in the Woolworths. They gaslight you and they think they have some sort of divine right to treat you like those Goy. Pauline Hanson thinks you're all Goy. Pauline Hanson's One Nation Party is an Israeli-controlled party. You are voting for Israel if you vote for One Nation. Death cannot celebrate thee. They that go down into the pit cannot hope for the truth. Those that fall into the brainwashing of an occupying Zionist government cannot find the truth. They lie to you to keep a narrative and then gaslight you whenever you attempt to speak up about this narrative.
From Switzerland. I'm from Sweden.
From Brooklyn, New York.
From Los Angeles, California.
From Miami, Florida.
Why did you decide to leave your home and come join the idea?
So you are from everywhere, but not from there. You know what I mean.
The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The Father to the children shall make known thy truth. Yes, my Lord. Yes, Your Grace. Thank you for showing me the truth. Thank you for showing me our anchor in a king's domain. Thank you for enlightening us to the fact that those are dead legal fictions. Thank you for enlightening us to the fact that this Australian government is not the Parliament of the Commonwealth of Australia. It is an occupying Zionist-based power, a moneylender. Right? The living. That would be all of you that start giving up what it means to be a citizen of a foreign power. Citizen of a foreign power, when you are supposed to be naturalised Australians and subjects of the Crown who have taken a scheduled oath. These people that are mimicking and copying what I've done for 20 years, like Matthew Aiken, are responsible for what's going on in Victoria right now. The Lord, all caps, was ready to save me. Therefore we will sing my songs to the stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of the Lord, all caps. See, it's not the house of the king, it's the house of your ancestors, managed and executed by a king. Okay, so you have to understand this. This is the house of your forefathers. This is the house in lineage of your ANZAC. The spirit of your ANZAC. The Lord, all caps, was ready to save me. Therefore we will sing my songs to the stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of our ancestors. For Isaiah had said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaster upon the boil, and he shall recover. Hezekiah also had said, what is the sign that I shall go up to the house of the Lord, all caps. Chapter 38.
I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. That's Monroe from the Monroe document.
I don't want to be a wise guy, but when Hitler made his speech at the Eiffel Tower, I would say that wasn't exactly ideal.
Just a quick little fact check here. Cancer only goes up to stage 4. It's the Monroe Doctrine, not document. And if you were a wise guy, you'd be wise to know that Hitler never gave a speech at the Eiffel Tower. So it's not hard to see why this administration would decide there's no need for written record of all of that, right? Well, now NBC News has learned that the White House is taking things a step further, scrubbing basically every transcript and making only video and audio of his remarks available. So if you're a journalist, of which there are many out there, looking to cross-reference with an official transcript to quote the President of the United States accurately, too bad for you, there's nothing there. The self-proclaimed most transparent administration in history wants to hide that from you. And again, not hard to see why.
So we can see this government serving Israel is very apparent. Albo may have done the Palestinian side, but he appeased that master by kicking out the Iranian ambassador. Now my question to Albo is, why didn't you kick out the Israeli ambassador for participating in a genocide? Why didn't you arrest the Israeli ambassador and send them off to The Hague for their war crimes? Why do you serve the Zionist Federation of Australia? And why isn't the Zionist Federation listed in the law as a foreign influence, which would then brainwash your politicians into breaking section 44(2) of the Constitution, like Pauline Hanson did very openly on the floor of the Parliament? Are you starting to realise now something that was done for you that a lot of you try to copy? I don't want a king. I'm going to be the king, said Matthew Aiken. I've pulled the sword from the stone, said Sue Gaynor. Really? After you were shown specifically how to do that, you want to go and tell all of your followers that you did that of your own volition after you were shown what I did? Interesting, right? Is it any wonder there's no unity? Is it any wonder why this government keeps manipulating you and the narrative? Have you started to realise something? The anchor is in your ANZAC. The anchor is in God, King and country. The answer is in removing what it means to be a citizen of this Zionist occupier in your commonwealth. You're not supposed to be citizens. Citizenship was created so that you could be tied to the IMF by name, in bondage, called slavery by your government. What you believed was your government is a foreign power managed by Israel, and Zionism coming out of London. Who do you think controls London? Do you think Charlie boys failed to defend the faith? Do you think Charlie boys allowed London to fall? Do you think Charlie boys responsible for London? Or do you think Charlie boy's the Zionist pig with his pedophile family that did this to you on purpose? On purpose! Failed in his defense of your faith, right?
Excuse me, Mr. Trump, sir. Sorry to bother you there, sir, whilst you're getting your makeup put on there. You know, that reminds me, sir. As I was leaving the house today, my wife, Mrs. Colombo, she called after me and she said, "Don't forget to pick up some oranges on your way home. My nephew, he's visiting with us, sir, and boy, he loves oranges, sir." And, well, I did forget. It completely slipped my mind until just now when I saw your face, sir, so thanks for the reminder. Forgive me, sir, I will get to the point. The point is, you needed 1,000 FBI agents to remove all mentions of your name from the Epstein files, sir. Well, that's an admission of guilt, isn't it, sir? I mean, that shows that your name runs right through the Epstein files like a stick of rock, sir. I think we should rename the Epstein files the Epstein-Trump files, sir. Just a thought. Thank you very much, sir. Good day, sir. Oh, just one more thing, Mr. Trump. You sent a bunch of lawyers to cut a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell, and clearly a deal was made because straight afterwards she was transferred to a less secure facility with more freedoms and privileges, sir. Well, for the life of me, I can't think of a single thing that you could need from a convicted sex offender except their silence, sir. Their silence in regards to what they know about you and what you and Jeffrey Epstein got up to at these parties, sir. I mean, cutting a deal with a convicted sex offender? That's kind of a confession in itself, isn't it, sir? Well, the truth will come out, sir. It always does. Good day, sir. Thank you very much. Oranges, oranges, oranges. Oranges, 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 oranges. Oranges, oranges, oranges.
Chapter 39. At that time, Merodach Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered. And Hezekiah was glad of them, and showed the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. This is not about those things. Those things mean something else. Now we know what those things mean. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men from Babylon? And from whence came they unto thee from Babylon? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country unto me, even from Babylon, even, italics, in pairs. Then said he, what hath they seen in thy house? And Hezekiah answered, all that is in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. Then said Isaiah to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord, all caps, of hosts. This is now the warning. Behold, the days come, that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store until this day, shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. You didn't keep it privy council. You didn't keep it private, right? It's like those Zionists coming in and saying, oh, you've got some gold. Well, you owe us billions of dollars. How about you hand it over? No, thanks. It belongs to the Lord thy God. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Now, eunuch is a sexless person, not male or female, not of mankind. A dead legal fiction, perhaps. Look at what they did to your Marriages Act. Look at what they've done to the definition of a woman. Look at what they've done to all of you in the wokeness period we call the lockdowns. The wokeness period, where nobody was awake and you were all woke, talking retarded, stupid shit all the time. That's why they're able to manipulate you with their media. Oh, you're all sovereign citizens. Right? No. We're of the Lord of hosts, lineage of those ANZAC, lineage of our forefathers. We are not Zionists. We are not gaslighting genocidal maniacs. That's what the police are. Remember Port Arthur? False flag shooting, blamed on a muppet that couldn't shoot straight. And if you go to the WASP files, you'll see those recorded interviews and you'll start to question what those Zionist police muppets actually did in Port Arthur to have all of your guns removed so you couldn't defend yourselves as a country, as countrymen, in defence of each other, the living. Now, your Bill of Rights says that you have a right to bear arms in defence of your country. What if these police serve Israel? Would defence of your country mean standing up to the police? That's why I question this Desi incident. Is he in full self-defence mode right now because he knows these Zionist pigs are out to kill him for what he's done in defence of his community and people in his community? Maybe these police officers face real serious criminal offences for what they've done and they need to murder him to shut him up. Maybe that's the case. I'm not saying that's true. I'm putting an alternative view on the table because we cannot trust a government that creates ABC propaganda hit pieces trying to defame you as a people while they occupy and control your land from their Israeli Zionist hand. Isn't that right, Pauline? Isn't that right, Madison King, you Zionist puppet? Gotta please the Zionists so I can get a seat in the parliament, so I could have a pension. Madison King, Zionist puppet. Do you see now?
And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick. But I'm really saying, and I say this to all of you, in a certain way, we should wait to be asked, because they have cities that are so under control, out of control.
Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, "Good is the word of the Lord," all caps, "which thou hast spoken." He said, "Moreover, for there shall be peace and truth in my days." Peace comes when you stop using the reserve bank. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Section 115 talks about value. The reserve bank is debt. $11 trillion debt that they believe they can hold you in. This is where returning back to the kingdom under the Lord of hosts defies that, doesn't it? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. If you're under a debt contract, you're obligated to that contract, aren't you? You want to live this life of falsity instead of build wealth in your communities and take control of your councils again from what we know to be Zionism. Evil. Real fucking evil. Real evil people that gaslight you, talk over the top of you, refuse to listen to your side because they are what? Self-entitled thugs. Like a mafia. Like a mafia. You're dealing with a mafia government that has strong men who commit acts of human trafficking, highway robbery, and worse. And worse. And if you try and get them legally, they'll frame you for something and kill you dead. Isn't that right, Vic Pol? Isn't that right, South Australian Police? Isn't that right, QPS? They've done this before. The modus operandi of defaming sovereign citizens in an ABC propaganda hit piece before a rural shooting in Queensland has repeated itself letter for letter in Victoria right now.
Why do you support a country that is killing innocent 5-year-old girls?
It's not that they're okay.
It is that they're killing. You could, like I said, you could literally go see a video on the internet of Israel dropping bombs on an elementary school, and then they are inflamed, they're in fire, and they're falling to pieces. Meanwhile, there's the figures of children running around in the school that's on fire, dying. Like I know that's uncomfortable, but that's what's happening. That's what you support, and you're avoiding that fact.
I'm not avoiding that fact.
So then address it head on. How can you support a country that is doing that?
Do you support the United States?
And this is what happens every single time I get a pro-Israel Zionist in this live. Y'all don't answer the questions. Y'all don't address reality. Y'all just try to weasel your way through the facts because for whatever reason, you think you have a moral obligation to support an apartheid genocidal state. It's insane to me.
So we're going to chapter 40 next time. Hope you've enjoyed all the little videos in between. Got quite a few today. Very demonstrative that Zionists control this country. All you have to do is look at Madison King lapping up to these gaslighting war criminals, trying to get a seat in Parliament. She knows she has to appease the Zionists to get a seat into Parliament. Isn't that right, Madison King? Lapdog up to those filthy little war criminals. Lapdog up to those people that murder over 200,000 civilians. Lapdog up and tell, oh, there's no Palestine, said Madison King. Let's ignore the international world and the international community and all the international laws going back to the League of Nations. Let's lapdog up to those Zionists, right, Madison? What you're doing very clearly is showing the rest of the country that you have to appease those Israeli Zionists to even get a seat in the parliament. So look at you go on your little propaganda spin, trying to get that seat, right? Trying to get that seat. Well, got to appease those Jews. Well, they're not Jews, Madison. They're Zionists. They're evil, warmongering pieces of shit that like to gaslight everyone and control the narrative. We heard Netanyahu talk about the algorithm. Oh shit, we're losing the narrative.
Crown King tomorrow, what's your first ruling power? How loud are you? I fucking love it. What, sorry? What's my... You're Crown King tomorrow, what's your first... I'm crowned king tomorrow. What's my first... So I'm king of the country, king of the world? King of the world. What's my first thing? Well, I think it would be an environmental thing. Okay, here's my pitch, right? There's too many people on the face of the earth. That's clear. What can you do? Well, I tell you what you can do. Health and safety. We get rid of health and safety. Yeah? And we let the cards fall where they may. So basically, it's a good idea, because not only are you getting rid of 50% of the population, it's the fucking dummies. Oh, my husband died because he fell off the cliff because there wasn't a railing. Will we miss him? My little boy drank paint. Well, maybe you shouldn't drink during pregnancy. I think it's a good idea, right? Get rid of the fucking dummies. Also, if there's a... Get rid of all those signs, like, you know, don't dive in the hot tub. If there's a sign there, it means some fucking cunt did it. Don't cycle on the motorway. What? Do we need those signs? Do we need the people that need those signs? I say fucking no.
Once they've lost the narrative, the world will arrest them. Right? And the Australian government will be obligated to arrest every IDF soldier that flew into this country for hiding purposes. I'm going to run to Australia to hide. I'm going to run to Australia to hide. Right? While Israel brings all these people in from around the world who aren't from Palestine to die for Israel, to die for the Zionism, to die for the Zionism. The Zionism that so clearly controls America. The Zionism that so clearly controls Australia, New Zealand, Canada, London. London has fallen. Divide all those people that are capable of pointing out the war crimes and the lineage. And the lineage. God, king and country, right? God, king and country. Well, if you don't support God, king and country and you try and imitate everything that I've done, like Matthew Aiken, aren't you supporting Zionism by constantly undermining your God, king and country established on the courtroom record when you should have been loyal to it and stood united together and stopped using the Reserve Bank, right? You could have held your politicians to account. You could have walked into courtrooms and said, no, you're supposed to serve Australia, not Israel. Pauline very clearly showed you they serve Israel. And Albo's conning you all with his Palestinian thing because he kicked the Iranians out, didn't he? When he should have sent the Israelis to The Hague. Right, what did Trump say? We're a bunch of war criminals, and if you take any of us to The Hague, we'll go to war with The Hague. Interesting that. So Trump's going to go to war with the United Nations to uphold his Zionist puppet master's wishes. It's about the bottom line here. Trump is equal to Israel. Trump is an administration. Trump is not the president of America. He's the president of the United States Corporation in administration of America, in administration of the $70 trillion debts that Americans owe while they speak garbage about their forefathers all day, every day. Are you starting to realise now? Will you wake up from this stupidity now that you know that the police are willing to kill you dead and call you terrorists? When will you stand up against the Parliament and demonstrate it's serving foreign powers? When will you charge these people for their war crimes in the jibby-jabby? Or are you just incapable of realising they're an occupying power in your land? Occupying power in your land since 1967, after a Pope came here in 1936 and started to dismantle everything you were. Who was he doing that on behalf of? And why did he leave in 2019? And why did that St Edward's crown go home with the Pope? Oh, it's the King's Queen's crown, but the Pope took it home. Are you starting to realise now, 15 years ago I told you the truth? 15 years ago I told you the truth. And you've been fucking around playing this get out of fine retard like that fat idiot in the courtroom, and his teacher very clearly demonstrates that all you are is American pseudo-legal garbage pushers. It's like a drug pusher trying to fuck your countrymen over, isn't it? Instead of helping them to see where the lineage of their forefathers are and how an occupying power came in and controlled your land in 1967 after the Pope opened the door for that to happen.
Being a veteran, the reason is that's why it's my flag. I served under it. The late Queen I served under. And I don't think we need permission from anybody to put a flag up. And that's how I feel personally. But then when people put other flags up for an event, I don't mind that. But then when you're trying to put a political view with your flags in my country that I served, I find that quite offensive, because at the end of the day, you're a guest in my country. So, you know, that's the way I look at the way the flag goes.
So you can see we progress forward regardless of the lies that the police wish to push around on behalf of a government that pushes propaganda around. Now, I'm currently putting paperwork together to file in the federal court against Pauline Hanson. It's starting to come together quite nicely. Any evidence that you have on Pauline Hanson, drop it down in the comments below, or go to spiersmedia.com and click the mail icon and send us mail through the website. Keep dropping your donations in. I've put $2,000 aside already to pay for court costs. So thank you to everyone that has participated in donations. I've kept a little bit aside for just general day-to-day activities, including fuel and travel. But we've already put aside $2,000 to pay for the federal court and the printing and all the rest of it. So we're moving forward. Thank you very much to everybody that participated. Jump down below and help out. We will eventually be moving towards a Nuremberg-style trial going against the Criminal Code 1995, making it domestic law. Making the actions of all these police commissioners, premiers, and the federal parliament go against domestic law, not just international law. Because under the Hague and Geneva, they codified their rules of engagement into the criminal code. The occupier's law ingrained into the parliament to make sure that all of its subordinates fulfill that occupation and don't break the rules of engagement. International laws of armed conflict, the Hague. Now, Pauline has broken the Hague. These state premiers have broken international law. These police commissioners are directly involved in a very serious war crime. Your federal parliament is in cahoots. A military power behind the executive branch is responsible for poisoning all of you. Angus Campbell is in command line responsibility along with Cosgrove. Peter Cosgrove was in power at the time, divided you all and handed that office over to someone that supports the voice over and above your constitution. That's how Albo tried to commit an act of treason to the constitution by administering you out of your constitution and handing it to a minority population that is smaller than the immigrants that Albo's imported in the last 3 years. Aborigine got played. You got played so hard, you gave everything to Israel. And now you look at Madison King being a muppet to Israel, telling lies about history just to uphold a Zionist narrative so she can get a seat in the parliament. The Zionists believe they can divide your country up and hand it to someone else. And the Aborigine, stupid as they are, forgave their own sovereignty in the process of trying to undermine ours, when we would have recognised their sovereign position as independent tribes. So you got played by Zionists. When do you realise this and stand up with us for your own sovereignty by recognising ours? Interesting, right? Or you could have representatives like Madison King that lie about history, deny the existence of Palestine that your ANZAC spilt their blood for, deny that existence that 2,500 Aborigine men spilt their blood for. Madison King is shitting all over her own ancestors trying to get a pension in a parliament. Just like Pauline Hanson shat all over the ANZAC to support Israel, the murderers of your ancestors. I'll repeat that, the murderers of your ancestors. So, any help you can give will make us move forward. Like I said, I've put together everything on Pauline Hanson. Bring it all forward. All the dirt you have on this Muppet One Nation member, Pauline, Malcolm, anybody else in their party, including the people in their office like Josh and Liam, bring it forward, because we'll put it on the courtroom record demonstrating that they serve foreign interests, demonstrating that they're in obedience to Israel, demonstrating that they're in adherence to what Israel wants, demonstrating very clearly that Israeli scarf meant something else on the Senate floor, while the Speaker of the House said, take that thing off. You are not allowed to fly the flag of a foreign power on the Senate floor. So grab all of the history you can find and pass it on through, so I can build the strongest legal document against this traitor. Now, I will repeat to everyone, a vote for One Nation is a vote for Israel.
I think what's happening in Gaza is utterly appalling. I think Netanyahu has gone way too far. I think he has lost the plot, and I think that what we're seeing overnight, the attack on Gaza City, is utterly unacceptable, and that's what we have been calling for as an international community now for a long period of time. He is not listening to the international community, and that is unacceptable.